Welcome back to the We Was Watching podcast. I'm your host, Brandon. I'm back with Javi for another Apple TV nerd show uh, for All Mankind, Season 5, Episode 1, the premiere of the fifth season. Before we get into this recap, though, if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can leave us a review. If it's 5 stars, we're reading on the show. You can watch us on YouTube at youtube.com/@WeWasWatching. Like our video, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell so you can get all our new videos or see us go live, which we will be live later this weekend with the finale of Paradise. And you can also email the show at wewaswatchingpodcast@gmail.com. Tell us any theories you have about For All Mankind, and Javi and I will read those on the show. And you can also follow us on social media, anywhere you get your podcasts at We Was Watching. Javi, are you excited about For All Mankind being back?
Yo, I love it. This may be my favorite show on television. And this might be For All Mankind may be top 5 shows of all time for me, in my taste. It's a criminally underrated show, and I'm so glad it's on Apple TV because I think it would probably be canceled by now if it was on any other streaming service.
I don't know how many people are watching it.
Yeah, like I don't get. There's not a lot of buzz around it.
But I love alternate history, but particularly I like this show's alternate history because every season, the first part of the first episode, they do a run through of the 10 years in between the end of the last season and this season. And it's always like a mix of stuff that actually happened, still happened, little tweaks and things that happen, just like nothing majorly changed, but just like a little tweak here is like, oh, that's interesting. And then there's like major big changes that happened that changed in this timeline. So in this particular one, I wrote down the recaps. I wrote down the differences between what happened. So we know Ed and others were found guilty for the riot on Mars. The Red Sox still won the World Series. They still broke the curse of the Bambino in 2004. Of
course, that was meant to be.
Also, Bragg, the former vice president, won in 2004 because they blamed Al Gore for all the shit that happened on Mars and shit.
Yep.
So he didn't win re-election. Talladega Nights still came out.
That was also meant to be.
John Lennon, because remember, John Lennon didn't die in this universe, did a performance concert with Jay-Z in New York. The Montreal Expos did move from Montreal, but they did not move to Washington, D.C. to become the Nationals. They moved to Portland, Oregon.
Interesting. I wonder, you know what? And you could kind of trace some of these like alternate history moments. There's like a logical cadence, a logical sequence to this, right? Like this happened because we can trace this all the way back to the Russians beating the Americans and the blowback to the moon and the blowback from that we saw in the show moving up to this point. That though seemed like just like what sequence of events would make that happen? I'm not a sports guy, so I'm very interested in like
they do this every time. It's always little random ones like this. I just happen to write down all of these this time to pick them out, but they do it all the time. A blockbuster opened on the moon. So there's Blockbuster Video. So in this universe, I don't know if you remember this, Javi, but in this universe, Blockbuster was the first to start streaming, and so they never went out of business.
That makes sense, and I hope we could. I feel like we need to do an hour-long show for these episodes because there's so much in it. It's so deep. But for me, again, I don't know sports, but Blockbuster actually taking that technological leap makes sense to me, given that world is so much more technologically advanced than we are or we were at that point. So Blockbuster wouldn't have been so afraid to make that switch, right? To kind of change their business model because the world was so dynamic at the time. So that, in a weird way, that kind of makes sense to me.
Craig then won re-election again in '08. Uh,
Yep.
they built the space elevator, or they're working on building a space elevator, so that they could get stuff to orbit faster, which would then let them not have to use the fuel to get out of the planet. To
Not
complete.
just faster, but cheaper, right? Like,
Well, here's the thing. I watched an explainer on Star Talk with
yeah.
and they had somebody who worked. There was like a panel. So it was Neil deGrasse
Mhm.
Tyson, but he also had like this person at NASA and this other person that works at like this space tech like private firm that
Mhm.
that's working on space fueling stations.
Yeah.
And so they got a question from a listener about a space elevator.
Mhm.
And they said they talked about, first of all, like, you know how long it would take to
Mhm.
get from Earth to orbit? Like not
Very
even
long.
full orbit, but just like
Yeah.
orbit enough where it's worth doing it.
Yeah.
And they said
Rockets go very fast, so yes.
if it went 100 miles an hour on
Mhm.
the elevator, I think they said it would take like 3.5 weeks or something like that to get from Earth to just, you know, up out of our atmosphere. Not even fully out of our, but out of our atmosphere, like in a place where you're in lower gravity. Three and a
Mhm.
half weeks going 100 miles if the elevator went 100 miles an hour. But even more than that, the
We get
material
somebody
that
fact check that. I know it'll take a long time, but 3.5 weeks sounds like kind of crazy.
well, it wasn't, it was fact checked. They had the
Mhm.
distance
No, no, fact
between.
check. You remembering. I'm not
No,
saying you're
I'm
wrong, but
pretty sure it was three and
yeah,
a half weeks.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's three. It might even be longer, but I'm
Mhm.
pretty. It was multiple weeks
No, it
that it
makes
would
sense
take to
because I
get there.
mean, rockets go extreme. They're one of the fastest objects, on the planet for a reason. So it kind of skews, what we think the distance is between the ground and orbit, right? So that does
But
make a lot of sense.
even more than that, it was um it was the material that it would
Mhm.
take to like build that, right? But not the
Yeah,
material, not like we couldn't find enough material to build it. Well, that is an issue. But it's the material that you would have to build it that would be light enough to build that high, but
yeah.
sturdy enough to function as an elevator to carry stuff. And the funny thing is, they have a material to do that. It's called carbon something, not
Carbon
carbon
nanotubes, I'm assuming.
nanotubes. I think it's carbon
Yep.
nanotubes. Yeah, it's like it's a carbon material that they have built that would
Hmm.
suffice to do that. But the most carbon, whatever that material is, that we've
Hmm.
developed in the entire world since we figured out
Hmm.
how to do it is like
Hmm.
a yard.
So and that's one thing I've been thinking about, like with the alternate history and how it would change things. The events, the most pivotal event in that entire show happened last season, right? A lot of crazy events, but the most pivotal, like if this was like the real world, we'd be looking at this particular event from last season as the most pivotal event in human history, and that's us capturing an actual asteroid and being able to mine it. Not only being able to mine it, but having the logistical capability and the supply chain from us traveling back and forth from Mars at that point for decades, right? To take advantage of it. So, like a medium-sized asteroid that's like rich with minerals would have more natural resources in that asteroid than possibly than we have in the entire planet. Like, period. So, them being able to reliably exploit that asteroid, which they call it Goldilocks, right? Because it's perfect. It has, you know, clearly it has an abundance of natural materials. I think that's really the only reason why you're seeing something like that being built. Like again, it's fantastical thinking of it from our perspective, but again, like this world is totally different. Like just being able to exploit um resources off planet is a game changer, bro. We would be able to make things that would be impossible normally. Because of
Well, we
because
do
of that.
have plans
So
for that on the moon in real life.
Yeah, but the moon isn't very as far as I know, the moon isn't very resource rich, right? It's a
Well,
pretty
they have that
barren.
thing, helium-3, I think.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, helium-3 is like
um,
this thing that's like all over the moon that's apparently could be amazing for us in terms of clean energy.
yeah, and I know you're not done. You talking about clean energy just reminded me of one of the other alternate history moments that they went through in the beginning. So we'll get to that. But yeah, like I as a nerd when it comes to this type of stuff, it makes me angry that we're not doing more to look at exploitation of resources off planet. But it's expensive, it's dangerous, and the only reason why it makes sense in this show is because we we made we took those risks decades ago, right? The explorers already went and explored, and we settled. So now there's a supply chain and kind of a highway. Like I'm imagining shuttles going back and forth from Earth to Mars
Well, we
constantly,
saw that
right? Like,
last season.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
how
So like,
that's how Miles. Remember, Miles was like, "Oh man, I don't have no job no more. I'm gonna take this
mhm,
job in Mars," and he just basically just got on the train,
yeah,
a space train that went to Mars. And it still
exactly.
took him. This we still don't have like in this even in this universe we still don't have like light speed travel and anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's right now. I think it would take the fastest rocket that we have uh and here's the thing about getting to Mars is it's like a launch window because it has to be like when Mars and Earth are lined up to
Mm,
get there. Yeah,
in a
like you have
particular
to.
way. Yep.
Yeah, so I think there's only like 3 months out of the year when you can leave to go to
Mhm.
Mars. But with our current technology, it will take somewhere between like 6 to 8 months to get
Yeah.
to Mars.
Yep.
It looks like it takes them I think they said last season it took a month. I think they said it took a month to get to
Yep.
Mars on that shuttle or whatever. So they still sped up the process pretty significantly than what we have in real life to get there.
So it take typically 7 to 10 months with our current technology. But then again, these people have been this universe, humanity, instead of going to wars, right? We're not in Iraq. We don't spend trillions of dollars fighting Middle Eastern wars at this point. All the resources and money is, and I like it because it's still not a perfect world, but a lot like trillions upon trillions of dollars wasted here on Earth was diverted to the space program, and not just our space program, but Russia, China, North Korea, right? Like,
Yeah, but
um,
they do show in this flashback that some people are kind of upset about all the money being spent on Mars
oh,
and
that
being
and
sent
that
to
that
Mars.
totally makes sense. Yo, resentment politics. I love whoever's right, who's writing this show. Like, who's responsible for this? Because this is high level, super high level, man. And I want to say one more thing though, and I appreciate about this show. Just like you, I love alternate history, but usually alternate history is very like it's pessimistic, right? If you ever watch like Confederate States of America or Man in the High Castle, right? Like it's usually like, what if the Nazis won, or like what if the Confederates won? It's usually like it takes like a really dark turn. Sometimes, a lot of times there's some hope to be found in it at the end. But this show is fundamentally optimistic with all the flaws of humanity ingrained in it. It's fundamental. Like I feel like this show should be shown in schools, right? Like, um, and I
But it
really
was,
appreciate that about
but
this
it
show.
was that premise. They just flipped it on his head because the
Yeah.
premise on its face was negative. It was, what if we didn't get to the moon first? Right?
Yeah.
Like on his face, that's like, oh, we lost the Cold War. What happens? But what they said is, oh, what happens is we keep trying,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that progresses us
Yeah.
eventually.
But I'd rather like it's a lot more positive to say we lost the moon race, the space race, than to say like, you know, what if Nazis won World War II? You know what I mean? Like that's it. But at the same time, the moon landing is one of the most pivotal moments in American history and world history. the space race itself is probably one of the pivotal events in human history. So it being flipped, like you said, on his head, you know,
Also, the
it
last few
reverberates,
things were Breaking Bad still came out.
of course.
They elected a governor from Mars, so Mars is being treated like a state in this
Yep.
context. But it's not really a state; it's more like a nation state, but it's not
Yeah, it's like governed
independent.
by multiple different. It's
Yeah,
governed by the M6.
yeah, it's not
Okay.
independent, but it's
Yeah.
it's its own place.
Yeah.
Uh, and so now we're in the 2010s.
Oh,
Uh,
you forgot one thing.
what?
I don't know if you might have missed it, but Hurricane Katrina wasn't a massive storm. It got downgraded to a tropical storm and not a massive hurricane. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I'm assuming greenhouse gases and global warming isn't as drastic as it is in our world, because it looks like they've been leveraging green energy, and again a lot of the resources are being
Mhm.
exploited off planet. So that was a pretty cool and Al Gore being president and stuff, I'm pretty sure he had a really crazy green initiative. So that was pretty cool. um and just so you guys know, Hurricane Katrina, for those that are too young, was a very devastating moment for the country. Many people died in the Gulf states, and it was one of the early indications that global warming is a real thing.
So I'm breaking down this episode into Mars and Earth for now. Uh, so we'll start on Mars. So the first thing we notice, Javi, is how much Mars has grown since the last time we've been
Yep.
there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a much bigger settlement, and
Yep.
not only is it a bigger settlement, Dev, my boy, the goddamn Mister Terrific, is talking about building a basically indoor city
Yeah.
in Mars. And however, however, Aleida, who no longer works at NASA, who's now working at Helios, and Helios went public, is like, why is he talking about this shit? We ain't even funding that shit yet. Like, what is he talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So we already have some tension going on there. We see that Miles got his wife and kids on Mars with him now.
Yep.
So after all that fuck shit he pulled last season, he's now seen as a leader
Yep.
on in there, which is fucking funny.
Well, they don't know.
No, they don't know. They don't know all the bullshit that he was up there doing. Um, they have a high school on Mars, right? They had a small graduation ceremony. I think it was 5 kids graduated, and a lot of them are going to Earth to pursue their future education, except one who is what is her name? Not Kylie.
Kelly. Kelly's
Kelly.
son, right?
Kelly's
Yep.
son. Kelly. Well, maybe it's Kelly and Alexiv.
Mhm.
Remember, because she got pregnant by the Russian dude, and then he died
Oh, yep.
before
Yep.
she could give birth.
Yep.
And so Kelly's son never got to meet his daddy, but he don't know what the fuck he want to do, and it looks like he has a
He knows
genetic
what he wants to
hand.
do. He's just afraid to say it.
What's he want to do?
He wants to go to Earth.
I don't think that's what he wants to do.
You don't think? Yo, the dude's spending, instead of watching the hub, this guy's freaking on VR, putting his feet in water and sand, like,
But
and
why wouldn't
hiding
he
it.
just do say that? All his friends are going to Earth.
Yeah, but he has a family legacy on Mars. Like, I think he might be, feeling the pressure to
Oh, you
stay.
think
I
that's what that
think,
is? Okay, I didn't pick that up.
yeah. I mean, that's how I feel. That was the subtext I got. I feel like he's hiding a lot of things. Or I think he's going to be a pretty interesting character to
Well,
follow.
he's got a bit of a disorder, like it's probably genetic from his granddad. Well, that's not his actual grandfather, but he's got a hand thing.
Yeah.
Uh, and Ed has it, but that's not his natural grandfather. So I thought that was interesting. But one of the other students is going to the Marine Corps. One of the other ones is going to Tulane, and another one is going to Cairo to study film
Yeah.
study.
I think it was interesting about him going to the Marine Corps. I mean, they didn't really talk about it, but I'm wondering what the U.S. military is doing right now, because we didn't go to Iraq, right? We're not in Afghanistan. Um, so I wonder how that changes, you know, military life and saying you want to join the Marines. Like, what's the connotations
Well,
of that?
but we did stay in the Cold War mindset for much longer in this world
True, true,
than
true,
we
true. So
did
it's
in real
probably a lot
life.
of proxy
Yeah.
wars and stuff like that. Yeah.
Um, Other things going on Mars is we find out because Kelly's son wants to go ride on a space motorcycle, space dirt bike, that he's riding around in space, and he comes across a disfigured, disgusting, dead body. And we
That was
find out
crazy.
that there's a
Yeah.
bunch of people who unalive themselves on Mars by just
Hmm.
getting out and running, seeing how far they can go. But there's a Mars police officer. While everybody else is stupid and just like, oh, it's another suicide. We don't even need to look into it. She's like, this don't look like this don't look like no suicide to me, dog. Can y'all look more into this? And they basically the doctor looks in, doesn't see that his eardrums are blown, which means he was killed before going out in the elements. So now they have the first homicide on Mars. What do you think about that storyline, Javi?
Um, I I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil anything. But actually, no, it happens in this episode. I'm curious. I feel like this death is just a way of them. It was just a tool for them to bring us into another plot that we can get into a little bit later on. The most interesting thing about that was them automatically assuming is a suicide. So that must happen a lot. And one of the first things I think about when I'm looking at the way people live on Mars is that they're almost like rats in a cage. Um, it's one of the issues I know NASA talks about when it comes to colonizing other planets is, isolation and just, the walls closing in on you.
Well,
So I'm very
colonizing the
curious.
planet that we can't exist on
Yeah,
naturally.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if we kind of explore that a bit. And this is next episode, but especially considering how someone like Dev lives on that planet, which is dramatically different than everybody else.
Yes, but it is much better than when we first saw Ed and Danny and everybody go to Mars, right? Like there's
100%.
way more people there. There's families
100%.
there. They
Yeah.
got shops and games and bars and
They have
stuff.
craters,
Yeah,
which aren't, what you think they are. They're people that like illegal immigrants
yeah.
that travel to Mars in crates, which is crazy
And so
considering how long it takes.
speaking of that, um, we find out that the person that they think committed this murder is one of Ed's buddies, Lee, who is a crater, and they come up there and they arrest his ass. And so they think they got
He's
their
not a
guy.
crater.
No, he does. He is a crater.
His wife's a crater. Remember, he
No,
was one of the North
he is
Korean
a
soldiers.
crater. He's a crater because that's why. Okay, we'll talk. Javi and I watched the first two episodes, so check back in for the second episode after this. But
Okay,
that's
yeah,
why what
yeah.
happens in the second episode happens because he's a crater. We'll get to that.
Wait, wasn't he one of the North Korean astronauts?
He he was, but he was not supposed to be there.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, I'm remembering. I didn't. I tried. Not, I didn't watch a recap because I'm like, man, I don't need to watch no stupid recap. But yeah, no, that makes sense.
And so, also some other little other minor things on Mars is Ed is still he's old as fuck and still grouchy as as could be, still grouchy as motherfucker. Who wants to still fly even though that motherfucker should not be flying.
At
Um,
all.
no, should not be flying at all.
Do we know
Kelly,
why? Do we know why? Yeah,
y-
already.
uh, that part I don't remember, so we'll save it to next episode. And then Kelly is on the search for life, right? She's still trying to find life on Mars, and she hasn't been successful yet. But we do find out that they have sent Helios has sent a probe to Titan to look for life. And so she is in a rush to be the first person to find life. And she's rushing against the clock, and she's worried that somebody else might find it before her.
Yep.
Also on Mars, did Danny die last season? That's the thing I don't remember. I don't think she died. I think they said they weren't sure what happened.
What did what was her plot last season?
She got remember in the big riot, she got shot by the
Did
gun,
yeah. Yep.
but I don't
I
think
mean,
she
you never
died.
seen it. No.
Or at least they didn't tell us that she died. If I can remember properly. Somebody in the comments let us know if we don't if we
Yeah.
got this wrong, but I don't think they said that she died at the end of last season.
No, I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything about her in this episode, to be honest with you.
Um
Look up.
and so that's pretty much the most no, she didn't die.
Oh,
Uh she went back to Earth with her family. That's right. At the end of last season, she went back to Earth, finally decided to go back to Earth with her family and stop being away from everyone. So yeah, she back on Earth. Uh that's pretty much what happened on Mars. On Earth, we see Margo, who's old and decrepit as fuck, in prison.
yo, she stay in jail, bro.
Well,
I feel bad for her. Like she does not deserve the life that she has been given. Like I feel like the writers just hate her character.
well, it was either
She's
that
done
or go.
nothing
It
but
was
she's
either
she
that or
did
go
everything
back
but
to Russia with the
yeah, that,
KGB, which means she
yeah,
would no
that,
longer be here as soon as
yeah,
she got back to Russia.
yeah. And it's actually still the Soviet Union in this world too.
Oh yeah, this still the Soviet
Soviet
Union.
Union never collapsed, so
So
which I don't know, is that a better situation?
I mean, it's still roughly the same, just more competent.
Yeah.
Um, we also see her later. Like I said, she's working at uh Helios. Here's the thing. One of the things for those new to the show, one of the things that they do is the same actors have played the characters all throughout the series. So
Yep.
most of these actors are young people, right, or
Mhm.
relatively young people.
Younger than the characters they play, for sure.
Much younger. And
Yeah.
so, but they do a really good job generally with makeup and stuff in their acting for us to believe that they're the age that they are. Except
Mhm.
Aleida, because she's way too fine and young looking for me to believe that she's this age. They just try to put some gray streaks in her hair like Tulsi Gabbard. But I'm like,
Yeah.
look at her. Look at her face. She
Yeah.
looks like she's 24. It's like she does not
Well,
look
she's
like
a very, very naturally. She's a well, I don't whatever. She's a beautiful woman. Like, so it's hard to kind of like
how old is this actress? She's played by Coral
Coral
Pena.
Pena.
She was born in 1993. So yeah, like I
Yeah,
said,
yeah,
she's young as fuck, and they want me to
mhm.
believe that she's like this old, like she's got to be in this at this timeline. What, 50? I'm guessing
Yeah, around
close
there,
to 50.
late 40s,
So
50s.
that's the only unbelievable one on here. But she's
Yeah.
over there, and she's complaining about Dev and Helios and going public and not having funding and trying to get everything on track. Um,
Well, she got to make things. I mean, I can't imagine the size of Helios at this point, right? Like, and not just that, but they basically made enemies with every country in the world, and she's the public face for them on Earth. So it has to be a very stressful job. She is not happy.
Well, I don't think that's the case because we got to remember we are 10 years from then. And since then, they went public. So if they decided to go public, it wasn't because everybody hated them.
Oh, true. I mean, yeah, but companies tend to go public because they want the funding that comes with that. Um, and again, they own the rights to a giant asteroid that's pretty much supplying the world with every resource that they need to like create VR. They're like 20 years ahead of us right now.
And then the other, so not a whole lot happened on Earth this episode, but we did
Yeah,
see that Earth is like enthralled with the murder on Mars.
yeah.
But the last thing, oh, go ahead, Javi.
No, and we're also as optimistic as I say that this world is, right? We're still seeing humanity kind of deal with its demons still, right? Resentment politics, you know, politicians of a particular, I have my political biases, but I'm not going to play it out here. But politicians using a scapegoat in order to gain political power, right? Whether it's minorities or illegal immigrants or whatever it is, the most salient thing on in that world is Mars. So when you see the campaign rhetoric, Martians don't know the value of work. Are you tired of your tax dollars going to Mars? Blah 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 blah. Um, and then now you have like this high profile murder. It's definitely going to be something that the politicians are going to use to their advantage.
Well, the first murder.
The first, yeah, I mean, is it? Because
Well, they don't know about
yeah,
they
you
don't
know
know about Gordy and all that
exactly.
stuff.
But even beyond that, I mean, they were very quickly. It was like they see the dude dead, and they automatically said suicide. Like a murder for them was just so inconceivable. Um, so yeah.
The last thing that we'll talk about this episode is every season we introduce a little bit of a new batch of characters. And
Mm-hmm.
this is the next generation of characters. So we have Miles's daughter, Lily.
Mm-hmm.
We have Kelly's son, Alex, who we already talked about a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And they are going to be probably our young viewpoint from this episode. Who was Lily the one who spray painted Free Mars? Was that her?
We don't know, do we? I don't think they told us. Did I
Well, they
miss that?
showed her in the beginning. They took her face off, but I wasn't paying
Yeah.
attention enough to realize who that was. Um, so someone in the chat tell us, so I'll go back and rewatch it before next episode. But it looks like they have a budding romance, but Alex doesn't want to pursue it. His buddy even
Mhm.
tells him, like, dog, if you don't do that, she's gonna be in Tulane getting some college dick, dog. You better
I
get on
mean,
that.
yo, honestly, I'm gonna tell him like I told. I mean, my little cousins and stuff that go to college and all of that. I'm like, yo, you're going to college, especially if you're leaving the state. You have a new life. Your friends here are important, but you can't let that hold you back. So she's going to Tulane. He's staying to Mars. It's a wrap, bro. Like, live your life.
And so we have that whole thing involved that's going on between them. And also he's not really feeling Ed and Kelly like that. Like he loves them, but like
You
he's
talking about
clearly has
Alex?
some yeah, Alex, he's clearly got some resentment towards them.
Yeah.
Uh
I mean,
for
his mom is always away, right? He probably rarely sees her, and his adopted granddad's an asshole. So
yes.
feel bad for the dude, and he's stuck on Mars.
And Lily, daddy is a fraud that she doesn't know about
Hmm?
and also won't let her do anything.
Yeah.
So she's also dealing with some stuff while she's there as well. And we find out that she's not going until the end of the summer, so she'll probably be here for the rest of the season
Mhm.
because that's why they put that into the show.
And don't
Uh,
forget Officer Boyd. Like I think she's gonna be a pretty. She's gonna be a pretty important character. She's
yes.
gonna be
Well,
driving.
yeah, she's the one who realized that it wasn't a suicide
Yeah.
and
I
wanted
think she's a
to
point of view. She's
investigate
definitely going to be a point of view character this season.
with murder.
Yeah.
So that was the episode 1. We're back. We're just getting things moving. So we're looking forward to episode 2, which comes out
Yeah.
next week. So come back next week and watch us talk about episode 2. And we'll be here every week for this series because we love the show and we can't wait to see what happens. And
We
the
was watching.
showrunners have already said that this has been greenlit for season 6, and season 6 is the final season. So the final season is actually going to take place in 2026 or 2027, like in the showtime, which will be when it actually comes out in our time as well. So they're finally going to be in
I
the
want to say that
2020s.
too. This is what I appreciate about this season. Like this season and last season, not only did it happen in our lifetimes, right? But it's also for us older millennials, right?
For the
Like
last 3 seasons that happened in our
last,
lifetime.
yeah. Not. I mean, not just our life. Well, I say the last 2 seasons because it was not just our lifetime, but it was like very pivotal moment in our lives, right? Like as millennials, you know, the early 2000s, the late 90s, early 2000s, mid 2000s have been like I don't. It's been such an eventful moment, with recessions and wars and epidemics and the first black president, and it's very rare that, for me at least, these alternate histories take place in a moment in time that I have such vivid memories of participating in. And for me, and I'm thinking, and I'm hoping for all the other older millennials that are watching this right now, um, you know, I I'm really curious to see, like, how do y'all feel? Like, what memories do you have thinking about that time period?
So email us what you thought about episode 1. Tell us what you think about episode 2. And write in the comments anything that we got wrong so we can make sure we get it right next episode.
Boop, boop.
And thank you all for listening. Remember, like this video, hype it up if you like it, and subscribe to our channel so you can hear all the rest of what we talk about this series. Talk to y'all later. Peace.